when you change the font, you enlarge the font, you're emphasizing the wording.
But when you agree that even though the wording is a little bigger, it's saying the same exact thing.
Yes, the words, as I said before, the word, the sentence is the same in words. The font is larger in the June 15, 2012 revision.
Can I see the percentage, Exhibit 31, 32, and 33, please? I'd like for you to look at
What number is that?
Exhibit 32 has not been exhibited to Athens.
Neither is 33. Three has been identified perhaps, but not centered. 32 has been identified and centered.
So, the ruling on that, that's when we were talking about the difference between the two, you want to clarify that, so.
Let's hold on.
Ms. Lumpy, do defendant Exhibit 33, do you recognize what you see in defendant 33? Did you recognize what you seen in defendant 33 you read?
I'm making a mistake. Yes, that's the one that does not have a date on it, and the wording appears to be the same as the 2020 revision.
Is it a fair and accurate presentation of what you saw in defendant Exhibit 31, sir?
Is it fair? I don't understand the question.
Is it a fair and accurate presentation of what you seen in defendant Exhibit 31?
The wording appears to be the same. It's the only difference is the font is changed. I said typically when you do that, you emphasize.
Well, Your Honor, I would like to tender the evidence defendant Exhibit 33. Please, Your Honor.
He hasn't really established why that would be relevant, when that may have been established by the police departments, if that matters for what it's worth. So there's no data there that indicate that whatsoever.
Well, if they say the same, I can guess you can just waste time and look like it. But I thought I was going to introduce it to show, hey, there was a prior to the same exact thing. That's why I was doing it. So what was the revision what I was getting at?
Okay, so
But if y'all don't want me, if you
just, I'll sustain the objection, but
okay, no problem. Well, I'd like you to look at the defendant Exhibit 32, please, sir.
32 is not.
It's not, I thought, it was. I just looked at it. Mr. Lumpy, does defendant Exhibit 31, is the Athens County Police Department have high-risk traffic stop protocol? Is that what y'all told about, or what was they going by Athens County?
Yes, there are categories of traffic stop.
Now, as a chief of police, do you want your officers to follow the protocols that y'all put out?
Yes, we want the officers to follow the process protocols to keep themselves safe and citizens safe and not to endanger citizens.
Okay. And defendant Exhibit 31 do state that Officer Shell wait for backup. It would state that he would wait for backup before approaching the suspect. Did you see that in the defendant Exhibit 31? D, number D, sir. Did it say it's D?
That applies to a felony stop, I'm thinking, or a high risk stop, and before approach, that the officer would wait. Yes, it says that, if he's or she is alone.
What would section B says? Can you tell us what section B says?
B1.
Yes, sir.
The officer will position his patrol car so that his engine block is between the officer and the suspect vehicle. Should the officer have a partner, both officers will exit on the covered side of the vehicle.
Why is it important for an officer to put his engine block between him and the suspect?
The engine block is considered to be a cover that most projectiles will not pass through an engine block. It's the same process that I explained earlier when I was saying the differences between the stops. That also doesn't mean that you stop every car like that either.
I'd like you to look right here. And this is a suspect vehicle, and this is the initial unit. And this diagram is how I was supposed to park the car, the engine block between the suspect vehicles. It was supposed to be parked like that.
Depending upon the environment, roadway, curbs, etc., you're supposed to provide try to create a safe zone where the engine block is between the suspect vehicle and the police vehicle, and the police officer or officers can take cover.
If an officer park his car in this position, would the passenger side be to the passenger side of the car be to the suspect vehicle also, sir?
There are different ways of doing that. What's shown on the diagram there, the passenger side is to the rear driver's side of the suspect vehicle.
So this diagram is what the Athens Clark County Police teach the officer. Would you agree with that?
This is the example that we give on this particular. There are different ways of doing that. As I said earlier when I was describing it, you can see stops on the left, but side of the vehicle as opposed to the right.
But do you teach your officer protocol?
We teach them. This is the example that we give them. We teach them different ways to do it depending upon the environment, the roadway, where the stop actually occurs.
Do you have any evidence with you that show us a different diagram when you teach officers at Clark County?
No, I did not bring evidence with me for that purpose.
Why you did? Why not?
That's argumentative, Judge.
So, do you think, let's say if a suspect jump out of the vehicle and run it back this way, towards the officer car, they got an engine block between their suspect and the vehicle, would it be hard for the officer to redo his car on the ground if he parked the car, the protocol according to the diagram, sir?
No, I don't think there's a basis for that hypothetical for him to ask that question. The diagram he has three different patrol vehicles. Using a diagram in a different situation, then trying to somehow form some hypothetical, and it's an improper hypothetical situation.
You know, this says the initial unit. It says on the other one, this is the initial unit.
How long will do, Judge, on that thing?
Listen, Monkey. If this is the initial unit right here, and that engine block parked right the engine block between him and the suspect vehicle. Let's say if a suspect got out on the passenger side, and he running back this way, when you agree that it'll be hard for the officer to read through his car when he grabs him from that vantage point.
Are you saying that the suspect is running to the passenger side of the police car?
Yeah, look, this is suspect a little red out. He running this way, and the officer car parked according to the diagram, the protocol. When you agree to be hard for the officer to read through the car when he grabs him, if the officer's on his driver's side.
If the officer's in the vehicle and the suspect is on the passenger side of the patrol car, yes, it's impossible to reach through the passenger window if you buckle in to grab.
Do you think that's why they had a protocol like that, to keep the officer right here shielded from anybody getting out and shooting them or anything like that?
Now, that's not, the reasons for the protocol on a felony traffic stop there is to provide you cover.
Would you agree if a car, would you agree if the car was parked, if the officer car was parked, according to this diagram, the end block between the suspect, the officer would have his car for cover?
No, it's dependent upon who the officer observed the individual, whether the officer was still in the vehicle or not. If the officer did not see the suspect, then you don't know what he or she could have done.
But you would agree if the suspect on the
No,
right
that's a
side?
leading question, before that question.
I'd like you to look at the defendant, exhibit 151. Mr. Long. Mr. Long, I'd like you to follow this red. Is this police car right here parked according to this Athens County high-risk traffic stop diagram we just saw?
And I would object, because we assume that was treated as a high-risk traffic stop at the time. There's not being evidence of that.
I will agree with the objection.
Mr. Long, as you see this police car here parked in this red SUV, is this police car parked according to the diagram we just saw in the Athens County Police Department high-risk traffic stop protocol?
It's not, certainly not a felony, part, it's not a high risk, stop, the way the car is angled. As I said earlier, we don't stop every vehicle in a high risk of felony mode. I'm not certain that that's supposed to be a high risk of felony mode.
Mr. Long,
Certainly, if you're going to do that, you're going to get out of the car immediately as a police officer.
Mr. Long, if that car was parked according to protocol, like we just saw in that diagram, and the officer in his car, and you did a suspect jump out on this right side, when you agree that if the officer was on this driver's side, and the suspect was running back this way, he would have been on the passenger side, that car was parked according to that diagram we just saw. You agree with that, sir?
According to the diagram, if I take everything that you said to be correct, it very well be. If his the car also might have put may have given more area for the person suspect jumping out of that vehicle to be hit if it had been parked differently.
Well, would you agree, do you think if that car parked right there, the suspect jump out on the right side, it'll leave that officer vulnerable to get shot? He couldn't use his car.
Well, that's a leading question, I would object.
Could that officer use his car as cover if it parked like that with this red SUV? Could he use his car as cover for his vantage point like that?
The way the cars are parked, you cannot utilize the vehicle. You cannot utilize the vehicle's motor as a cover. The vehicle itself is not covered. The vehicle is concealment. Projectiles pass through the vehicle. The motor is what's the cover.
Well, do you think that the officer car could cover as his motor could be used as cover if it parked like that?
It can be used there if you go across the scene and use the vehicle and if the officer had attempted to escape from the passenger side, yes, it could be used as cover. But that's why when dealing with humans, nothing is absolute in those perspectives.
Did Officer Howard get shot on March 22nd, 2011, sir?
Yes,
So that vehicle, that motor wasn't used covered if he got shot, was it?
That's, I don't agree with that. He got shot, but it's not necessarily that he got shot because he didn't use the motor as cover.
Was Officer Howard shot on the left side of his body? Was he shot on the left side of his body?
He was shot in the left face part, and yes, and
Was he shot also in the left shoulder?
yes,
Okay. And if this car was parked, according to that diagram, when his left side of his face and the left side of his shoulder would have been on this side of the car, sir.
parking. If he was seated in the patrol car, his left side would be exposed.
If he had parked his car according to that diagram, would his left side of his face or his shoulder been exposed?
He could be exposed depending upon where the shoe was, no matter how he parked the car.
As a police chief, would you want to believe, did you check to see if your officer followed protocol? Did you check that?
It was my understanding that he was not making a felony traffic stop.
Tell us about your understanding. How did you come to that conclusion?
From speaking, I think, while he was lying on the cot in the hospital.
Did you recall Mr. Howard telling an agent when he was in the hospital that they were looking for a carjacking suspect, Jamie Hood, and he seen Matthew Hood with a passenger look like Jamie Hood? Did you recall that?
No, I did not. I did not recall him being interviewed by a GBI agent in the hospital. I saw him before he went into the surgery.
What did he tell you before he went to?
That he was making a traffic stop and he was shot.
Did he tell you who you making a traffic stop on?
Yes.
Who was he making it on?
A Hood.
Was I wanted for alleged carjacking kidnapping on
He did not tell me he was making a traffic stop on you.
Sir?
I don't recall him telling me he was making a traffic stop on you.
But as a police chief, were you aware that they were looking for a Jamie Hood for alleged carjacking and kidnapping? Was you aware?
Yes, I'm aware of that, but that does not give us the right to make a felony stop in and of itself on your brother or anyone else named Hood.
Was you there at the police shooting incident at the time it happened?
Pardon?
Was you there?
Now, that's argument that he already indicated who he was at the time, he was not there. So,
Have you seen any audio or video on the police shooting incident?
Seen the audio and video, have what?
The police shooting incident, have you looked at it on video? Have you attended to look at it to find out what happened? Did you look to see what happened? Did you want to know what happened?
those are compound questions, misleading as well.
Did you want to know what happened?
I think I know what happened.
Do you think or you don't?
I think I know what
Tell
happened.
us what you think.
Go into that, but if we did, I mean, he pretty much stated, I'm not certain that's exactly what that was. I would guess.
I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Okay. Ms. Lump, have you looked at any video that you saw what actually happened on March 22nd, 2009?
The video, I have a specific memory of is the night that Jamie Hood surrendered and his interview.
I think you misunderstood the question, sir. March 22nd, 2011. Have you seen any video of this police shooting incident on March 22nd, 2011?
No.
Did you?
I do not have a specific memory of looking at the video. As I told you, the GBI was the lead investigator on this. I looked at certain video, but not the investigative video from that perspective.
What video did you look at?
The video of the surrender of Jamie and the subsequent interview.
Did you check on police call, Officer Christian call, Officer Howard call to see if they had audio video camera on it? Did you look into that?
No. I did not think that's an investigative function of the GBI.
As a chief of police, or is it common procedure or common knowledge to keep up with the investigation pertaining to all who got shot, you chief of police?
I'm concerned for the well-being of the officers that were shot and the well-being of the family of my deceased officer.
Will you say that helped the family if you told them exactly what happened?
I would not think it would help them if I was interfering with the investigation by traveling through the scene or interfering with what the GBI forensics, FBI agents were going to investigate.
Do you recall telling the media that Jamie Wood ambushed and assassinated police?
I believe that to be the case for Mr. Christian.
Okay. How could you tell the media and go on TV say I assassinated Officer Christian? You weren't there and you didn't see what happened. How did you do that?
I believe that's what occurred.
Okay. If you didn't see it, how could you believe it?
He asked a question, and I'm not certain. I think he's already answered that question one time already.
Why would he make
Turn the lights on, please.
Why would he go on national TV and make an allegation stating that I assassinated Officer Christian and ambushed the police, and clearly he ain't done no investigation anyone there? That's why I asked the question, how and why? Why would you do that?
You want him to answer that question?
Yeah.
I'll allow him to answer that question.
It's my belief that senior police officer Buddy Crispin was having another call on the telephone when he was shot and killed.
What led you to that belief? You had saw no audio and video and you wasn't there.
Not from the patrol car. There was video, not video, but audio of the telephone conversation.
Okay. When did you hear this alleged audio conversation?
Shortly after the crimes. I don't know whether hours or the evening of that day, but shortly thereafter.
Do you often go on, talk to the media, go on TV and make allegations and you hadn't done a thorough investigation of?
That's argumentative, and I would object.
And I'll sustain the objection.
So when you made those allegations to the media, you hadn't done a thorough investigation?
That's not what I said.
Well, why you doing
You indicated that that was his belief. We asked him a question about doing that, and why did you make that comment? You already answered that question. You've already been asking him.
I'll sustain the objection.
When did you hire Officer Howard as a police officer?
I don't recall the date. It's within the records.
But you didn't want to do the hiring, right?
I authorized the hire,
You
yes.
authorized the hiring. Okay, before you. Before you hired Officer Howard, did you do a background check on him?
There was a background check done.
What you find?
I don't have the background check before me. Process is that a background check will be conducted, as well as a polygraph and psychological exam on everyone that we hire a police officer.
Was you aware that Officer Howard worked at the sheriff department before he come on as a police officer?
Yes,
You checked his record before you hired him, don't you tell him?
there was a background investigation conducted.
Okay? Did you find that Officer Howard made a false statement during the investigation in his background beyond investigating?
I would object to that. That's a misleading question, and it's absolutely wrong. We need to address this outside the present jury that he made statements there that were absolutely false, and I would object.
No, here it is right here, it's not false.
I would object to it.
But it ain't false, though.
That's the jury. Did you continue to make?
I guess that
You know what I'm talking about?
But just told me I'll make a
Can
false
you
statement.
recall the comment, I've asked you not to make.
I haven't been making them comments.
Yes, you did.
Okay, but I don't feel like there was a comment. He just basically told me I was a liar in front of the jury. He is right here, and he said he had in his record. So don't call me on lying. I ain't going for that. Regardless of who it
Have a
is.
seat. Was there an objection?
The objection was, he said, you know, understand, he made false statements during a criminal investigation. And I thought what he talked about that we dealt with Tony Howard had to do with the sheriff's department about some uniform, about whether or not he was wearing a proper uniform or not, as an off-duty officer. And that was, I thought, was the only matter that was addressed at that time. He's talking about during some criminal investigation, Tony Howard making some sort of false statement. If he's got something else, and I'd like to see what he's talking about. But in that regard, what I thought it was that he was talking about was Tony Howard working off duty, perhaps wearing a uniform or not wearing a uniform, and what was said at that time. If there's another matter, then you ought to address that.
Well, let's just.
Now, when you talk about criminal investigation, there was no criminal investigation, and that was misleading and wrong and incorrect.
You know what? Don't you see that? Okay. What you know what I'm saying? You say it like that. It says statement of administration, so it wasn't wrong. I can stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I know he was suspended for it. It's a criminal investigation, and he has him in his record, and he know about it. And did I say criminal wrong? Yeah. If I say something wrong, I stand corrected. But he knows what's in there. And for him to sit here and try to hide it, let's stop hiding. That's what my problem is. They keep undercutting with his hiding this. And it irritates me. Yeah, I keep falling off track because we supposed to be here for the truth. And you gonna sit here and know the man that did something, you don't hide it.
Apparently is that you used the word criminal.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong.
Well, so don't be so upset
Yeah.
because he called your name on.
Look, but how many times he done it? How many times I got here? It don't even match up, Judge. It's like this
If
here.
you want to continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, you're gonna have to take direction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, are we clear on what the issue is?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And is there an objection related to that?
I objected to his last question because he basically said he made a false statement during a criminal investigation, which was absolutely false and untrue. And he now admits that that was false and untrue. That's what was correct. So I would ask basically for some direction, certainly to strike that question in that regard, because that's not correct.
You're right. He was right because he right before a technical term.
All right, you ready to run back in?
Yes, sir. Mr. Long, when you did a background check on Mr. Howard, did you see that he was suspended for making false statement during an administration investigation? Did you see that?
I can't recall that. I don't have the background investigation in front of me.
When you done a background investigation on him, did you know that Officer Howard had to be reprimanded and had to have counseling for telling another deputy, I should going to whoop your ass, or I should just hit you in your head?
No, I do not know that. I don't know how many years ago that was. I know he's been working for the police department for a decade or so. I do not have a background investigation from me. I do not actually conduct the background investigation myself. A detective does that. It passes through a supervisor to authorize whether to go forward to actually hire. I do some interviewing. I do not recall Tony Howard's or other individuals' specific backgrounds from a decade ago.
Well, Your Honor, I think his question, he needs to reference what Dave's talking about. If he wants to put those documents into evidence, I have no objection about that. You need to reference the date that he's actually talking about, which you did not do.
Well, Your Honor, I don't know when he hired him, when he looked at it. It'll be impossible for me. That's why I asked him.
The documents he's referring to, he does have dates.
Okay, well. You want the dates?
Well, I think they're suggesting that,
Okay.
you got a document, is that something you want to put back?
Okay, okay.
Is that what you're?
Okay, well, you well, 4/1/22,000.
That again, please?
I didn't hear it.
4/1/28, with the April 22,000. It was said here, April 28, 4/1/22,000, legal violation. On 4/1/22,000, were you aware that Officer Howard told F. Lindsay, you either gonna whoop my ass or I'm gonna whoop yours, because I'm not gonna tolerate you putting your hands in my face and saying fuck you and shoot me a bird when I'm on the limb of message. I should just go ahead and hit you in your head. This action violated the Athens Clark County Sheriff Office Standard Operations Procedure, which states section organization.
That's a compound question. What I said is, if you want to put the document in evidence, I don't have an objection to that, to make sure everything is clear. You know, and what date they're even talking about. We've already asked him whether he was aware of it. If he insists on doing that, then that's fine.
I just put evidence up.
All right. Mark is 34. So 1 or 2 pages.
They 2 pages. Maybe 34 and 35.
Submitted by stipulation then?
Yeah, but the documents he have been written on. And so I would have objected those unless they're redacted with the writings that apparently were made by the defendant on the documents. So they're clean copies of the document. I don't have any objection, but they have writings on there that are not part of the document. So I wouldn't have any objection once that's redacted, all those writings or underlines or handwritten notes or whatever it is are there. So I wouldn't have any objection once that's done.
All right. So have those back. We don't have a clean copy of those, is that right?
Not with me, but I can get them.
All right. Next question.
Mr. Lumpkin, I thought you stated that you have a say-so in hiring. They're doing it, I thought you told us something about that while ago.
I did say I authorized the hiring. If I do not, then it will be an assistant chief that authorized the hiring of individuals. But a assistant chief or myself will authorize the final hiring of individuals.
How many times y'all have hired people talking about getting a police officer in the head? How many times y'all have hired them type of people?
I don't know that we have. I don't know that the documents that you've seen. I don't have a background investigation that said that we knew any of them.
But you could have, couldn't you?
Anything's, from that perspective, it's just anything's possible. Could have.
Is it policy to just hire people who been suspended and talking about hitting folks in the head, especially police?
That's a leading question, and it's misleading about what's said on the document there, because it's not indicating what else was there on there, and it's really misleading to the jury, but more importantly, it's a leading question.
But it's just normal, anybody who comes looking for a job, you do a fundamental background on check on them, don't you?
Our detectives do a background on applicants that apply for a job. We run them through a background investigation, a polygraphic examination, a drug screen, a psychological examination.
So how did your investigator let a man get in that's been suspended doing a administrative investigation, and a man talking about he gonna get a police in the head? How do y'all let that in?
Again, that's misleading, and it's a leading question, Judge.
Is that what you do? Let people hurt people, you let them get away with it?
That's argumentative, Judge.
Is that why you left Athens, Clark County?
Your Honor, that's argumentative too.
That's the same.
I have no further question.
Can I see, appendix 34 and 35, please? Chief, let me ask you, just go through this if I can. You grew up here in Athens, isn't that correct?
Yes, I did.
As I understand, you went to Bernie Harris High School and graduated in 1966, am I right?
That's correct.
And that was prior to integration of the schools here at this community?
That's correct.
And really, as that process was happening here in Athens in the late 60s and early 70s, is that right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
following high school, you went to the University of Georgia for about 3.5 years, is that right?
That's correct.
You wound up going to work with the Athens Police Department in 1970, am I correct?
Yes.
And you didn't wind up with your degree at UGA, but wound up with your degree from Grinnell College around 1981 or 82. Am I
Yes.
right about that?
Yes.
Okay. And you've also had other training and gone to the command college as well, is that correct?
Yes, I'm one of about 100 in the country that has finished the administrative officer's course at SBI and FBI Academy.
Yes. And you went to the FBI Academy as well in Quantico, Virginia, is that where that's located?
Yes.
Okay.
The FBI leads, and I probably have 6,000 hours of training.
Yes, sir. And as I understand, when you, after joining the Athens Police Department in 1970, you worked there from 1970 until 1992, is that right?
Yes, late 92.
In 92, late 92, I think, but basically in January of 93, you went to become police chief of Toccoa. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And were police chief in Toccoa from January 93 till April of 94, if I'm not mistaken, right?
April 1994.
And you wound up becoming the police chief there in Albany Police Department from 1994 until January of 97. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it was while you were the police chief in Albany during that time that y'all had that massive flooding that was going on that had to coordinate all kind of.
During the 500-year flood that hit Georgia. And
Yes.
all been 26,000 people evacuated.
And you came back to become police chief in January of 1997 of the Athens Clark County Police Department of the Unified Government. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
And you remained police chief until late last year, I guess, early 2015, when you were hired as a police chief in Savannah. Is that right?
November the 10th, I was sworn in, but because I had so much leave, I didn't go off payroll here until in January of 2015.
And under your leadership at the Athens Clark County Police Department, wasn't the police department certified on a number of different occasions under CALEA? Is that correct?
Yes, we were accredited and re-accredited a number of times. We were named an exemplary agency in the United States. We won several awards there. We were first in Georgia to be state certified.
Yes, sir. And CALEA is what?
The Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Administration.
Yes, sir.
Law Enforcement Agencies, excuse me.
Yes, sir. During your time with the Athens Police Department, and then I guess about the time of the unification, you served in the SWAT team. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
And you were there about 15 to 16 years in the SWAT team, serving in that capacity, is that right?
Yes,
And you were the commander about 14 of those years, correct?
that's correct.
And during that time, you were responsible for the training of officers when it came to firearms, is that right?
That's correct.
And particularly the SWAT officers who worked under your command during that time?
Yes,
And during that time, as I understand, folks had to qualify, under your training leadership as well as otherwise. Each year, they had to qualify for the use of a firearm. Am I right?
SWAT qualified monthly.
SWAT qualified monthly. Is that correct?
Yes,
So during that time, it's fair to say that you basically saw on, numerous occasions, folks at the firing range firing weapons, particularly handguns in various capacities. Is that right?
yes, we fired every month. And I was also the firearms instructor for Athens for a number of years.
Yes, sir. And during that time, in your capacity, as you described there were times that you saw on many different occasions where folks basically, casings that were ejected from the firearm wound up on folks' clothing. Fair to say?
Yes, the firing the weapon, the ejected casing, when you're firing a semi-automatic, they won't do it with a revolver because they stay in the revolver. But firing a semi-automatic, depending upon how you hold the weapon, the casing will eject different ways.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And if they fall, I've seen them fall in the clothing and pockets of shirts, into the cuffs of individuals, cuffs, they have the outer cuffs, in pockets on coats.
Yes, sir. And in addition, in regard to that weapon, it really depends, as you said, about how somebody may be holding the weapon.
How you hold the weapon and whether you let your arm break, it goes according to the trajectory of the casing that comes back.
Generally, an automatic weapon or semi-automatic weapon is designed so that if you hold the weapon straight without breaking your wrist and hold it in such with the kind of grip you need to have, it'll go back into the right as a general rule, right?
It'll kick back, yes. If you do not break that wrist, do not break your wrist.
And if you
be qualified as an expert,
Hasn't been qualified.
well, I was just in line of question, if he hadn't been qualified as an expert.
He doesn't have to be qualified to talk about his experience and what he's witnessed over the years and the many different years where he was not only SWAT commander but also firing firearms instructor for the department, and basically what he observed, particularly during the 15, 16 years that he was on the SWAT team, particularly 14 years as the commander of that unit, where they had to do firearms qualification every single month during that time, and what he witnessed, and he laid those foundations to that extent.
It's the same thing, now we're asking the agent, you got agent. Well, Mr. Wood can't ask for a question, he's not been qualified as an expert. And if he want to qualify him as an expert, I have no problem with it.
It's not at the same time, I'll projection, yes.
And what you observed basically is the casings can go in different manners depending on how somebody's holding, whether they break the wrist. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's typically it would alter the ejection of the casing from the semi-automatic.
Sure. And during training, people wear protective goggles for that reason, in order to make sure if the casing wound up hitting them in the eye. Is that correct?
That's the reason that we wear goggles now. We didn't when we started.
And of course, the officers are not trained to basically turn the weapon sideways. If folks see it like I'm pointing down here with the ejection area pointing straight up.
No, they're trained to hold the weapon straight forward.
But if in fact somebody basically is holding the weapon straight up, as I'm demonstrating here, and with the weapon pointing down there, the ejection pattern would be up.
It would be up as opposed to the back if you were holding it, what I would call proper,
Sure.
in a weaver stance or other stances.
And if in fact under those circumstances there was a ceiling, like a carport ceiling, you would expect in that
He called it speculating. He's speculating something that he can't see, and it's misleading too.
Sir, whatever it is a casing may hit, based on your experience and what you saw over all those years, it could very well hit off that particular object bounce back in a different direction. Fair enough?
Yes, the casing would go in different directions, depending on how you're holding that weapon. And I've seen them, cases fall in shirts, on the coat pockets, in the cuffs, on the clothing.
Yes, sir. And as far as this felony traffic stop, let me see defendant's exhibits, what, 31 perhaps, I guess, if I may. Is there a pointer up there in front of your table there, sir? May have the lights in the lectern set on here. Yes, sir. Okay. He's got one. You have a laser pointer? Okay, good. And let me look at, for the record, I'm looking at page 2 of the defendant's 31. Okay? In this instance here, just to be fair, this diagram is part of this protocol that was dated June 15, 2012 and revised, basically talks about a high-risk traffic stop, does it not?
Yes, it's speaking of high risk.
And if it wasn't a high-risk traffic stop, then there may be something different done, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And in this instance here, where the defendant was asking you about the position of the initial unit, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
In all fairness, this diagram is a situation where you have 3 different patrol units that are assisting in that stop, correct?
Yes.
And that's where basically there's a feeling that there is a high-risk traffic stop going on, and there's a need for 3 different units participating in that stop, correct?
Yes, that example is a high risk to a felony stop. That's not a normal traffic stop. We would not have any support with the public if we stop people in that manner.
Yes, sir. Now, irrespective of whether the other 2 units are there, and irrespective of where this initial unit parked, if the suspect gets out of the passenger vehicle and jogs or runs or walks very fast over to the driver's side of the unit, it really wouldn't matter where that unit was parked, would it?
No, if the suspect could exit that suspect vehicle and be in, he would be right on top of the patrol car by the time the driver saw him.
It wouldn't make
So
any difference.
it would not matter where you were parked unless you had a great distance from that vehicle.
Let me go over one matter here in paragraph D that's in this page 1 of State's Exhibit 31 that was not covered by the defendant, if I can. Defendant's Exhibit 31. When we're talking about in D, only after all passengers have exited the vehicle will one officer approach the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And if the officer is alone, he will wait for backup to arrive before approaching the suspects. Isn't that correct?
That's what it says, yes, sir.
Okay. And basically, in that instance, if an officer is sitting inside their vehicle, at that time, the officer obviously would not be approaching the suspect, would they?
From reading that, that's not applicable. He's still in the vehicle. He's not approaching. That writing is tended to suggest that the officer will be on foot approaching the vehicle.
Yes.
And that if he's in the vehicle, he's not approaching.
Yes, sir. Now all right, you can turn the lights back on, please. In addition, Chief, when someone was hired with the police department, the process was for there to be an extensive background check, was there not?
Yes.
And the process was to have a polygraph exam conducted as well on them, isn't that
That's
right?
correct.
To do a drug screen as well, isn't that right?
That's correct.
And they also had to have a psychological evaluation done, isn't that right?
Yes, psychological and medical.
And isn't it fair to say that during your time as Athens Park County Police Chief, that every person who actually applied to become a police officer, isn't it fair to say that not every person was hired as a police officer? Isn't that right?
Yes, we hired if not in the single digits, barely the double digits of applicants. We rejected a lot of people, probably the combination of psychological and other things.
Yes, sir. Now, let me ask you about Tony Howard. You've been knowing Tony Howard since he was in high school, or actually before that, right?
I knew his father. I saw a kid there that grew up to be Tony. I knew his father when I was running a burglary squad, and his father would be cleanup, janitorial service late at night at different places. And then I saw the son. Knew him as a high school football player, as I worked for Clark Central when he was playing over there in the 80s.
Yes. And so you got to know him even before he went into law enforcement, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And it's fair to say you've been knowing him just about all his life. Am I right about that?
Knowing of him, knowing him since probably high school.
And you're familiar with what folks have said about him and his reputation in the community in which he works and lives. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
And you're familiar with his reputation for peacefulness, are you not?
Yes.
And you're familiar with his reputation for truthfulness too, isn't that correct?
I am.
And what is that reputation that he has for peacefulness at the time you've known him, well before he moved into law enforcement and throughout his career in law enforcement?
His reputation was that he was a honest, truthful person. He was trustworthy. He had compassion for people. He actually won a national award for community-oriented policing for his interaction and his empathy for people.
And is it fair to say, as police chief, you know, you always keep your ears to the ground for officers that may be under your command that may perhaps go out of line or perhaps don't do things the way they ought to be done according to your standards as police chief and for the police department and really according to the national accreditation standards. Is that fair to say, sir?
Yes.
And so at any time, had you ever heard anything, any hint whatsoever, that Tony Howard at all ever abused anybody in his way, in his work?
No, I have not. He was actually honored by churches in the toughest part of the town to work.
In fact, one of the areas he worked in was weed and seed. Am I correct about that?
Weed and seed, yes.
And his job in weed and seed was really, well, let me strike that. One of the things you brought to the department was community-oriented policing. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes.
Tell the jury what community-oriented policing is.
Community-oriented policing is the interaction of the police with the citizens, and citizens of all walks of life. One of the easy examples is park, walk, and talk. No matter what the neighborhood is, get out of the car, park, and walk and talk to the residents. Whether that's high-end or social, economic, or low-end. Get to know the people in your neighborhood. Get to know the citizens. See them with their eyes. Talk to them. Get to know their problems. Help them solve problems.
Yes. Tony Howard, from your experience and what you heard about him in the community, he was one of the best at that, wasn't he?
Yes.
March 22nd, 2011, you indicated you had an administrative function. You were on the board at Athens Regional Medical Center. Am I correct?
Yes.
When that all happened, you were in the middle of a board meeting. Is that right?
That's correct.
And making a presentation, I believe, at that time, sir?
Yes.
And after you got out of that is when you first learned of the shooting that happened at Sycamore. Am I right?
That's correct.
And you started heading over that way to Sycamore when you learned that Buddy Christian was deceased. Am I correct?
Yes.
And you heard that Tony Howard, SBO Tony Howard, was at the hospital at that time, correct?
Yes.
And at that time, you went and saw Tony Howard in the hospital. Am I right?
Yes, I was driving to the scene, and Major Sizemore told me that SBO Christian was deceased, was dead, and said Tony was in can drive to the hospital if not already there. So I turned and then went back to ARMC, where I just left, not knowing the shooting had occurred.
And that's when you basically saw Tony Howard and spoke to him briefly in the hospital before he went in surgery, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then following that is when you went back over to Sycamore, right, Chief?
Yes.
And at that time, Buddy Christian was still in his vehicle at that time, his body had not yet been removed. Am I correct about that?
That's correct.
And when you were there at the time, his body was removed, sir?
Yes.
And Buddy Christian really had not worked with y'all very long, had he? Not too terribly long.
But he was with us, and then he came in and he left us for a while. He didn't leave the Athens, Clark County government. He went over to traffic engineer. And then a year or two later, he came back and said he really wanted to be a police officer.
You sent him home and made him think about it a little bit, right?
Told him to go back and think about it. Yes.
And he came back and came back to work with y'all, right?
Yes, he did.
And during that time, did you know Buddy Christian before he became employed with the police department, sir?
No.
But during the time that he was employed with the police department, did you get to know his reputation in the community in which he served and lived?
But it was hard not to know. He had a lot of, he was just a person that had something to say, always had something good to say to you.
And was he one that had the reputation for peacefulness, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And the reputation he had was what?
He was just a good person, the type of person you would want for your son.
That's all I have of Chief Long.
Mr. Long, do you teach your officer to dive by call one of the people?
I didn't understand the question.
I said, do you teach your officer to dive by to call one of the people?
Dive.
Dive by to call one of the people. Do you teach that?
No, that is not. This is the question based on facts that are not in evidence.
Overrule objection.
Do you teach
No,
officers-
we don't teach them to dive out of the car.
What do you think about your officer sitting in the driver's seat coming out and wanting to grab somebody? What do you think about that?
As I said earlier, it depends upon circumstances, whether you're trying to stop someone or not. It's not a good practice from an officer safety perspective.
Did you know Officer Howard come through and call one and grab him?
Yes, I think I know that he may have reached out and grabbed you.
Okay, why you didn't tell the jury about that?
You didn't ask me.
Okay, you were telling about all your rewards and all this thing, that's about, why you telling about the
That's
record?
argumentative, and it's a leading question, and you know that.
What did you say about the other chief of police? He can come through one to grab his like, and you don't teach that at police academy. What did you say about that?
That's argumentative as well, especially on which he asked.
In the police academy, do y'all teach them to dive through the car when the people? Do y'all teach that?
In the police academy, we do not teach you to dive out through the window. We do not teach you everything to do it. We do not teach you not to grab a person that you can grab. It's not a safe from an officer's perspective. It depended upon what the person is wanting for you. If you thought you could control it, that's probably not the first time an officer has tried to control an individual while still seated.
How many officers you done heard of your whole life diving and grabbing somebody in your years in Fort Mill? How often have you heard of something like that?
That's not a fair question.
Have you heard? How many you been officer? How many you been law enforcement officer?
I've joined the police department in 1970,
How many you got in that total?
45. That's total.
And in your 44, 45 years, have you yourself dive through a car when you grab somebody?
Never dived through a car window. I dived from outside of a car into a car. I never dived from in the car out.
What do
I
you,
reached into the car. Again, it's not a safe practice.
do you think Officer Howard played a role in Officer Christian thereby him coming to that car when don't be like that and violate protocol?
No,
It's argumentative.
Sustained.
Do you think that had any bearing on that police shooting at all?
That's the same question I would reject.
Sustained.
Did you tell the Christian family that you knew Tony Howard would come through that car when he grabbed him? Did you tell them that?
That's argumentative and it's a legal question.
Sustained.
Who did you tell about Officer Howard? When you learned Officer Howard would come through that one and grab him, who did you tell?
I didn't think I'd have to tell anyone as part of the investigation that the GBI and everyone else documented.
Did you tell the GBI that?
I haven't given the GBI a statement. The people who actually experienced it gave statements and who saw it.
When did you learn that Tony Howard would come through that car when he grabbed him? When did you learn that?
I'm not certain this, it's been 4 years, I'm not certain this exact moment.
Well, how could you answer the years you talking about UGA and all your accomplishments? You answer them while you can't answer
So
me?
that's argumentative. It's not proper. He would actually answer his question earlier.
Sustained.
Why would I ask you a question you can't answer me, but you answer him? Why?
That's an argumentative question as well.
Sustained.
I don't think that's true.
Let me see that the defendant decision I get to Mr. Prosecutor. I mean, Mr. Muller.
Of him, I saw him cleaning places at night, I spoke to him, I saw him. It was only a couple of places in town that stayed open all night in the 70s. And you would see people who were drinking coffee. Yes, I knew him.
Why did you say that I know that you said that Tony Howard was a good guy, just a real good dude here. Why did you say that?
I didn't use those words. I said he was trustworthy, he was honest. I knew him in high school. He was on the Clark Central's football team. And I knew him.
Okay, you said he was trustworthy and honest. How can he be trustworthy and honest? He was suspended for making a false statement during an administrative investigation. How can he be honest?
I don't know that for a fact, nor
He been doing an administrative investigation. How can he be honest?
I don't know that for a fact, nor do I know whether we knew that at the time we hired him. We were not the first law enforcement agency to hire him. I think he was hired by another agency, Marshal Service, something. We ran him on polygraphs. We checked him out.
Knowing his dad and knowing that they call you that many doors?
No, I'm not certain that I've signed off on his actual hiring. I said Assistant Chief also does it. Chief Brown or Chief Wallace, they were assistant chiefs during that period of time. He was highly thought of before he came over to us.
Okay. Well, then everybody eyes just elected few.
Pardon?
Well, then everyone eyes just elected few eyes. He was what he thought of.
We have standards that are accepted by the CALEA as national law enforcement. He met those standards. I think he meets those standards today.
Okay. How could he beat them standards? He done told another officer, I should have go to hit you in your head. That's what you call standard. Then another officer in the head. That's what you call standard, Mr. Monk?
I don't know. I don't have his report before me.
You want to look at it?
That's a report I don't know that I've ever seen.
I show it to you, refresh your memory, see if you're something?
You need the Athens Clark County Police Department report, background investigation.
Clark County Sheriff, all things.
That's not the same thing. That's not the
He's
same.
not supposed to be engaging in this conversation with.
Why don't you wanna see these?
No, that's
Those aren't amendments.
You know he took the pretty wide. Did you? You know?
I cannot hear you.
Do you know that he had a fight with the preacher while he took his wife? Did you know that?
No.
Did you? Do you want to help us? You said you knew it, so you must knew he had a fight with the preacher while you telling us you know.
that's argumentative and the proper question. He asked the question, he answered. Sustained.
I don't got no more questions.
No further questions, Will you be excused?
Let him be subject, we call, I go look at my witness list, make sure I don't need it no more. About how they got involved in GBI with Alton Howard, never tell us a lot of what's going on, but I can call Mr. Burton there, it's on you. I can do how you wanna do it.
How he got involved with GBI?
Now, how Miss Aileen Bishop got involved. He's the one that instructed the GBI to handle that.
Ask Chief Martin to come back to us.
Mr. Lumpkin, do you recall it says May 30, May 31st, 2013, that you had some dealing with Miss Aileen Bishop Howard concerning some statement concerning Alton Howard and Jamie Hood?
Repeat the question for me, please.
Do you recall on May 30 or May 31st, 2013, that Officer Eric Higginbotham referred some information to the Athens Clark County Police Department about Jamie Hood and Tony Howard pertaining to Aileen Bishop Howard?
I recall some information being transferred. I don't recall the information specifically. I would think that anything that was involved in that would have been referred to the GBI.
Okay, did you write a letter to the GBI concerning that matter for them to handle that situation pertaining to Jamie Hood, Tony Howard, and Aileen Bishop Howard?
I think I would have referred it to the GBI out of normal protocol if it was involved in something of that nature, that we would refer it. The reason for that is a best practice that you do not want to be the determinant of controversial or complex issue that may be involving your personnel or relatives of your personnel. So you ask for an outside agency, a state agency that's charged with oversight in this country, in this state, to receive the information and investigate it.
Do you recall writing a written request of investigation to a Mr. Ayers that you wrote to get the GBI to investigate this allegation, Jamie Wood and Tony Howard?
That would be typical protocol. I haven't seen the documents. If I wrote it, I've asked for the GBI to investigate a lot of incidents in my career.
Could I get Mr. Lumpkin to review the defendant's 36, please? refreshing his memory, and we don't have to admit it to see if he knows.
Well, I think he said that he asked him a question on it.
I think he said he don't recall, or he done read so many, I think that's what I want to show him. He said he don't recall, I just want to refresh his memory. You know, we don't have to introduce the evidence, let him see it, and I can ask him the question. Because every time I turn around, they can't recall. That's what I'm trying to have them recall.
I've reviewed it.
What do you have that, please, man? What do you review that as? What is this document?
Appears to be a letter that I wrote to the GBI asking them to look at some allegations that have been made regarding Howard, from Aline Howard and towards that could purport a issue with Jamie Hood, and it says something to the effect that since Tony Howard.
I think the contents of it,
That's
go into it this time.
Do you agree that you wanted the GBI to look into it because that you stated that the event may have led to the assault, led to Hood's assault on SBO Howard?
You know, it's not proper for him to start going into that like that.
It's the same.
To work through that.
So, you got the GBI involved because it was pertaining to Jamie Hood and Athens Clark County Police Department, Police Officer Tony Howard, that's correct?
I got the GBI involved in order to determine the truth, the facts.
Okay, so you said you were recusing yourself from this matter because there was an officer involved, one of your officers involved, is that correct, sir?
Typically, if you're gonna ask someone else to determine the facts, then you don't interfere. And yes, well, the Athens Clark County Police Department would not be participating in determining the facts.
So, did you talk to Officer Higginbotham who brought the tape to you? Did you talk to him about what he recorded pertaining to Jamie Hood and Officer Tony Howard?
I don't recall doing that. I would have, the GBI typically, and when I would always call them in, I asked them to keep the district attorney advised of the facts and not necessarily the police chief.
Okay, in your letter, did you state that please keep District Attorney Kim all informed on all material and development?
Typically, I do that. If I ask for the GBI to look into a matter that my police department is involved in, or alleged to be involved in, or purported to be involved in, then I ask for the GBI to determine the facts and report those facts to the district attorney. That puts the entire process outside of the influence of the police department.
Okay, when did the GBI get in touch with Miss Aileen Howard concerning Jamie Hood and Officer Tony Howard?
I do not know.
Well, what would they respond to your letter that you wrote to them?
I typically would ask them to report facts to the district attorney's office. Not to me. The reason I do that on all cases is not to be the trial fact, not to determine the facts, for the GBI to determine the facts and report it to the office of the district attorney, which has some oversight and responsibility roles.
Did Did you sign your name on your signature on this letter to the GBI? Did you sign your signature on this, sir?
It appears I've signed that. Typically, I will sign the letter requesting the GBI. They want a letter from the department director. And the way I request them is through a letter.
Okay, did the district attorney Ken Moore had his name signed on this letter that you wrote to the GBI?
I've never had the district attorney in any of the jurisdictions I work sign a letter along with me to request the GBI. I've always requested that the GBI report back to that district attorney, whatever jurisdiction I've been in.
Don't you think would you think it will be important for you to keep up with the matter that the GBI get out of that investigation so you can learn the truth yourself like the police chief? Your officer Higginbotham gave you pertaining to that. Jamie would have come out. What y'all do with that tape?
I can't swear what the tape. I can tell you what typically the evidentiary would be. I don't know specifically. I have not gone to search those records.
No further questions.
See that document, please. States Exhibit 36. Defense Exhibit 36. Part of your request had to do with them also looking at allegations of domestic violence in our family unit. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So it wasn't just about statements about Judge Howard and Jimmy Hood or whatever. It had to do also with the allegations of domestic violence, correct?
Domestic violence, yes.
So all that matter would have been the scope of the investigation requested from GBI.
I requested the GBI look at the totality of it.
Thanks.
Anything else?
No, sir, no.
Any excuse?
Yes, sir.
Excuse, sir.
Thank you.